Claim your destiny. You will all be conquerors. And what, Gul'dan, must we give in return? Everything.
We're catching up on World of Warcraft, and more specifically Warlords of Draenor, the next expansion of the everlasting MMORPG that's taking names and prisoners all over the place. As a longtime fan of Blizzard and Warcraft, it's sort of, this really speaks to me, what you did here, what you're trying to do, sort of really bringing the lore together. New fans, old fans, everyone can sort of, you know, get back to that sort of that time when well, I mean, Warcraft 2,
when orcs were orcs and men were men.
Exactly. It's so confusing times these days. It's the simple time.
Yeah, I think that for all of us, it's been really exciting to be able to experience that setting. I mean, I think that Warcraft is really about setting. It's less about plot, and we knew that the era that we're talking about, this kind of Warcraft 1 type of era with the World of Draenor and what it was like before it happened, you know, went to hell. What would that be like? And players would really want to experience that, and you know, it sounds like they do.
It's a nice thing, because the gaming industry is getting a little bit old now. We're getting all these reboots and, you know, back to ground zero. But you had a really nice way of doing this without sort of messing anything up. And
yeah, unfortunately for us, we already have some of these concepts in the game. You know, in the past we always had Caverns of Time dungeons, so players are already somewhat used to this kind of thing. And again, it helps us that it's more about setting than it is about plot, right? So I think that it's something that as you play the content and you experience it, the time stuff really just fades into the background, and you just realize that, oh my God, I'm actually getting to explore this place where all these guys came from.
Is it a case of, because of course going back to those days and the work that was made back in the days, you're not really redoing it, so you're not retouching what happened then.
Right.
But are the things that you say like, oh, he did that, or reversely, oh, they did that, and that you sort of revisit now, that you feel like,
right. It definitely really forced us to explore more deeply the origins of these different orc clans and what the world itself was like, because there are a lot of things that are part of the world that in Outland that are less part of it in Draenor, because they wouldn't really make sense. There's not as much of a Legion presence. There is some Legion presence, but Outland was very much a massive Legion presence because it had been really completely obliterated by these portals that the Legion used to come in. So it really forced us to look deeper into what these orc clans were as individual units before they became the Horde. And it's really cool to be able to see a lot of that now.
Because and this is a feeling I've had for even before World of Warcraft, is that the Warcraft universe is so fleshed out. Right. It's so deep. But what you're saying here is that perhaps there was some work that could still be done to sort of...
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of questions that had never really been answered, right? I mean, we obviously consult a lot with Chris Metzen, and he's a huge part of this process. And there are always so many things where he's like, well, I don't know. I kind of had this general idea in my mind of what, you know, these guys were like, or what.
That's what he says now.
Yeah, totally. But, you know, and then we talk it out with him and jam different ideas out, and things that really seem to gel and fit are the ones that, you know, end up coming to life. So.
Of course, it's Gamescom. Gamescom always means that you're bringing out big cinematics, big cinematic reveals. It's not happened yet, we can say that, but you're probably watching this when it has happened. But what is the importance of it? Because it really sets the tone for sort of the last few months before the game releases.
That is exactly what it does. It really sets the foundation for what's about to happen with the Warlords of Draenor. Players are going to get to experience a moment in history with watching the cinematic that they never really got to see before, and how it's a little bit different than they might expect. So I think players are going to get a kick out of it. It's really cool.
and of course, this is a very sort of special thing. It's this public spectacle, if you will.
Right.
What's the important? And you're also mirroring that in California, right? With an event of its own.
Yep.
And that has sort of been part of what Blizzard is about now. That you do these public things. What's the importance of that for you guys at Blizzard?
Yeah, it's interesting because back a long time ago when we were a packaged goods company that would just, we would put our game in the box and it would go to retail, you would kind of know that the only time somebody would see a cinematic is when they actually got the disc and they put it in, they installed the game, then they saw it. And so that was the spectacle, was launching the game. But in this day and age, you can't really wait for that, right? Because it's
on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. And so we want to make sure that we do the cinematic justice and we unveil it in a way that feels like it really services what it's supposed to be and really gets people excited for that first time that they saw it. So these events are just a fun way because fans are already here at Gamescom to be able to do that, and then because we're a global company, we want to be able to do it around the world simultaneously. So.
So of course there's a greater picture in place with Warcraft. There's a movie going on, and there's a little small game that's doing tremendously well right now called Hearthstone.
Guys in the next cube.
Yes. Is there any sort of, because I mean obviously you've been the big game for a very long time, but is there anything like you're looking at Hearthstone now and seeing like, maybe because they've taken so much from your game and inspired by your game so much, is there anything that you're looking at like maybe this could inspire us in some way?
Well, it certainly can. An example would be that for players that know about the Garrisons feature, it has a mission system where you can gather followers and you can send them off on missions. And we have a mission that is the Hearthstone tournament. And so you'll actually be able to send your followers to the Hearthstone tournament, and they can learn to become Hearthstone pros by going to the Hearthstone tournament. So that's a little bit of their inspiration carried over into our game. One of the things you can also earn for that is a Hearthstone card inside World of Warcraft that when you click on it makes some of the sounds and voiceover stuff from Hearthstone.
Have you noticed any sort of increased sort of interest in Natural Mass and that stuff when they launched their events?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that one of the things that we saw was that when players play Hearthstone, it really reminds them of World of Warcraft, and there's that natural tie-in. I think that when we did the Hearthsteed, it felt really good because it felt like, oh, this feels like a really natural tie, where when you're playing Hearthstone, you can get something, the mount in World of Warcraft, and that feels cool. So there's definitely a lot of interplay between the teams. The guys on their team were also people that worked on World of Warcraft, so we have a great relationship.
All right, lots of things going on, and you've yet to set a date, right, in typical Blizzard fashion, but it's getting close now. Right?
It is getting close. In fact, it'll be part of the cinematic reveal.
All right, so you'll know it before this.
By the time you see it, you already know.
You can say. All right, so coming out soon then. Yep. How do you feel, like, if more generally speaking of the future of World of Warcraft, how do you see because we're getting up on a decade, so how do you see the next decade, just in general terms? You don't have to say when the next expansion is coming or anything.
Right. Well, we are actively working on the next expansion after Warlords, and that's already something that's in production. We're really hoping that we can shrink that gap between the final patch of Warlords and when the next expansion would be, so people don't have that huge wait. But it's hard to see, where it's going to go much beyond that. We have other expansions that we have planned. We have a lot of other ideas that, we might shift around in terms of when they happen. But I definitely imagine that World of Warcraft is going to be something that lasts for quite a while longer still. But how long? Hard to say.
It's up to the players, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thank you.
We will never be slaves!